and you thought I was a loser before. So, as you can probably guess from what I'm wearing and what's behind me and the music and everything, I'm here to announce a kind of equivalent to Mortal May about Persona, because I had this revelation a few days ago. I basically decided, and people seem to agree with this on Twitter, it got 1,000 likes, you know it's a very popular opinion, that June 5. So as soon as I realised, oh yeah, June-S. Belter. I had to do it. So this isn't going to be quite as formal a thing as Mortal May, where Mortal May is basically everything I make is MK related, with the exception of that one Persona shitpost I made early in the month. In case you want to catch up on Mortal May, by the way, there is a playlist for all the videos made during all the Mortal Mays so far, so you can check that out. I'll probably have that linked at the end of this video, so you can watch that and get all that stuff. But for Persona, it's going to be a bit less formal. It's not going to be everything's Persona, because I still need to make the MK Cannonball that I was working on, but that turned out to be way too fucking long. It's the comparison video for MK2, Shaolin Monks 2011, and MK11 depictions of characters and the story and such. The thing is, I was editing the audio, and I got to the part where I talked about the premise, Liu Kang and Kung Lao, and that was like 10 minutes. Oh! Oh, yeah, that's not gonna... Yeah, there's no way I was going to get that done in a week, especially when I was working 3 days of that week. So it wasn't going to happen. So I had to push that back, do other stuff instead. But I'm still going to try and get that done during this month, in addition to the Persona stuff. So what Persona stuff can you expect? Well, I had a lot of ideas for short stories for Persona. So I guess I should talk about that. With Persona, I've kind of got 3 stories, as it were. These 3 categories. First is the Trickster's Journal, which is basically just a small excerpt from Joker's journal written in first person, naturally. And the idea is, it's mostly focused on like Joker and Kawakami, like their dynamic and relationship, and some of them are just a little joke, some of them are a proper rewrite of certain events. So I might have something for that. No, I do have something for that actually, yes, because I've got a new first chapter written for it. A new opening chapter, because as it currently stands, there's no like proper first chapter. But if someone were to discover it, the first chapter they would come across is one where the entire thing is just a simp joke about Morgana. Not a great first impression. So what I'm going to be doing is having a new chapter that works as better as an introduction to it, has a bit more heart to it. The second thing is Tales from the Metaverse. This is where most of the writing stuff probably focused. Tales from the Metaverse is basically the Persona equivalent of MK Chronicles, where it's just a bunch of random short stories I come up with. The difference is that MK Chronicles, there's an attempt at having a cohesive single continuity, right? But with Tales from the Metaverse, it's not. So for example, one of the stories has Joker dating Anne. But there's another story I'm planning in which who Joker is dating doesn't matter, as long as it's not a specific character. But if I pick another certain character to be whoever Joker's dating, that will add a bit to the story. Like there's one I wrote last month during Kawakami, which wasn't as big a success as I was hoping for, but it was about what I expected. Joker is asking for advice from Kawakami before he asks Anne out. Now that's another one where functionally it doesn't matter who Joker is dating, but since it's Kawakami he's asking for advice, it makes more sense for it to be Anne who is in her class, you know? And that's the kind of thing is, there are stories where it functionally does not matter a certain detail like who Joker is dating, but it adds more if it's a certain character. There's more character to that when you add that specific character into it. What was he on about? It's like that. So some stories will be, you know, a universe where these characters are dating, one where these are dating. It just depends on, you know, whatever. In that way, it's kind of similar to how MK Chronicles has the 2 universes, one that has time travel, one that doesn't. But here it's generally more loose with continuity, but most of the stories can easily fit into one continuity. Although I've got one coming up where Yu is dating Naoto, and I've got another one where that's already written where that's clearly not the case. You know, stuff like that. And the other one is Phantom Data. Phantom Data, basically the premise, it's a multi-chapter story, that's why it stands alone, where the premise is that Futaba has gotten files on in Prototype Prometheus that is previous operational data. that allows the Phantom Thieves to view previous palaces. Because I had this revelation when I was playing the Persona 5 dancing game a few months, probably about a year ago at this point, but it's a good few months ago, where if you do Yusuke's dance in Madarame's palace and have Makoto be his partner, that's the first time she's ever seen Madarame's palace, because she wasn't there for it. And so this is a cool opportunity for the character to see the previous palaces and give thoughts on it and such. So that's going to be roughly 8 chapters. I might do more with the idea, but as it currently stands, it aims to go for 8. I've got 2 done so far. They've watched Joker's Awakening and then Anne's Awakening. And that's, the Awakenings is kind of the thing that's focused on, for the most part. Actually, let me know if you're interested in a video series about Tales from the Metaverse. It's about the name, it's not just P5, it's 3 and 4 as well. It's just, Metaverse works as a broad title that could apply to the TV world and the Dark Hour and such. Like, to me, it makes sense that the Metaverse could be the overall term for all that stuff, you know. But yeah, so let me know if you want a video series where I just, like the ones I do on MK Chronicles, where I just talk about, here's 10 chapters of Tales from the Metaverse and here's what they're about. So something to that effect. Let me know if you're interested in that, and I might make it. But now let's discuss videos, because that's probably what, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're probably more interested in what videos I've got coming up. First off, I'm doing another misconception, one that I will likely be crucified for, so, you know, look forward to that. There's a wasted potential, where I'll be talking about how the way a certain aspect of Persona games is done with the social links and romances, it really holds back the romances, which will also go into the spin-offs and how they really drop the ball when it comes to non-party social link characters. Mainly inspired by Persona 5 Scramble, but, you know, the Persona 4 spin-offs did this too. I'm going to try and get the Align Through Time made as well. I've actually had it scripted for a good few months, mostly. I mean, here's how far back it goes. When I stopped scripting it because I needed to get into all the weird mobile spin-offs and the drama CDs and stuff, and I was just at a point where I was like, I can't be arsed right now, so I put it on hold. That was at a time when Strikers wasn't even announced for the West yet. So this was like October, November, because they hadn't even announced that, yeah, there's going to be a Western release for P5 Strikers. That's how far back this goes, so I'm going to try and finish that up and get that released. But I'm a bit unsure about the final summary, because I think I mentioned this before, but the final summaries in Align Through Time is one of the things that kind of holds me back from making them, because I just can't be arsed with it, you know? I don't know what it is about it, but I guess it's just like having to go more specific and lay out the major plot points. I just don't enjoy doing that stuff, and that's one of the reasons why Align Through Time just doesn't get made as much as, you know, like a wasted potential, where I don't have to do something like that. But let me guys know, do you think that is an essential part of Align Through Time, or do you think that stuff is fine to just leave out? Let me know so I can decide how best to approach that. But so I'm going to try and get the Align Through Time, wasted potential, misconceptions. Also, I don't think I've mentioned this before, other than to a couple of friends actually, but I've also got a series planned that is adaptive difficulty on the Persona mangas. Starting with P3, so you can expect that this month. I don't know if I'll have a second one out this month, but the aim is to go 3, 4, 5, and then a kind of summary one that kind of goes into general issues and commonalities I've noticed with the various adaptations. I'm also going to go a bit into the anime adaptation as well. For now, all I'm thinking is mostly just for contrast, like, well, the P4 manga did this, and it was quite poor, but you compare that to the anime that did this particular thing a lot better, as an example. Or we're talking about how the opening arc of the P5 manga is approached, which is kind of what started this whole thing, honestly, for discussing the Persona adaptations. But the focus is going to be on the manga adaptations, because I feel like there's more to talk about with them, where like, the anime is generally a pretty straightforward adaptation, whereas the mangas tend to have quirks or deviations that are more interesting to discuss. I mean, I was even at one point where I was like, The P4 one isn't really interesting. The 3 one has an interesting structure. The 5 one has an interesting approach to the first arc. I have something to ground it on. Whereas P4 is basically just me. It was just nothing. Then eventually I was like, oh well, there's this and there's this and this and this and this, and it's just going to be me pretty much just complaining about how the P4 manga is fucking awful as an adaptation. Yeah, a lot of things don't work because of the way this stuff was done. But the P4 manga is the worst one. But it's actually really good as something to look at. You know when people talk about like movies that are so inept, so poorly made that they are must-sees for people who are interested in making movies themselves, right? Because like The Room is like so ineptly made. You can look at this and to see how, you know, what not to do when making a movie. This manga is a great example of that for adaptations. Here's how not to adapt something, and that's kind of what I'm going to be focusing on for that one. So that's at least 4 videos. I'll probably have some random shit posts out, a bunch of stories. I've got a ton of Tales from the Metaverse stories planned. It kept being that, because I think about Persona a lot, maybe even more so than MK at this point. And throughout certain face. Throughout Morsel May, I kept thinking of new Persona short stories, and every time it was like, I can't do it now. I mean, I did Kawakame because I had that pun, I had that theme week, I had to do it then. But with other stuff, I can't really justify it. I needed to focus on MK. If I hadn't done Kawakame, I might have been able to get the Cannonball out because that was like a week of focus on Persona stuff. But yeah, so basically, I'd come up with an idea. I'll jot it down, write a bit of it just so I don't forget that stuff, and then get back to MK. So I've got a bunch of those I need to finish. So that's something to look forward to. I'm going to be generally doing Persona stuff for this month. Again, it's not going to be exclusive. I'll have some other stuff, but I think for the big videos, it's mostly going to be Persona. Oh, I also have a parallel plots that I've actually had planned for quite a while, and now's a good opportunity to do it. And that it relates to a certain storyline in Persona 3 that I've noticed was basically shamelessly ripped off in another JRPG series a few years later. And it's like, did you think we wouldn't notice? You bitch. I could try and find some cool Persona fan projects to do a fantastic on, but for right now, the only videos I've definitely got planned are Wasted Potential, Misconceptions, A Line Through Time, Adaptive Difficulty, speaking of difficulty, and Parallel Plots. I'm going to try and get them done. Probably a few Persona shit posts. I actually have one that I can probably post today that I've had done for a few weeks. Yeah, I can post that dumb little shit post. So there's that, a bunch of short stories. I don't have a proper name for this because again the term is June 5, like June S, and that's just for the 5th of June, just that day, nothing else. So I don't have a proper term other than June S. I don't know. You know, it's not quite as easy as like Kawakame or Mortal May or something like that. You know. Suggestions in the comments. There's a lot of opportunities for interaction in this video. Let me know what you think. Also, let me know what you think of my hoodie. It's pretty cool. I like it. It's not too thick. That's one of the good things. Is it's actually quite thin, which is good for the summer because holy fuck, I was in work yesterday. It was boiling. I hated it. I mean, I hate work in general, but I hated it. I was in all day. It was a bank holiday, so there's fuck all in. There's no one in. And I was like, oh, fuck's sake, why even have us in then? Fuck you. But yeah, what do you think of my Joker cosplay? I look like a loser, but do I look like? That's the question. Do I look like more of a loser like this, or in my Raiden costume? Where am I the biggest loser? Joker, other Joker, or Raiden? Joker and Raiden, Richard Epcar. Huh.